Good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Patricia Roxanne Hammond, coming to you live from our studios at Kwabenya Point 1. This is NEWSBOARD. Let's take a look at the headlines in Ghana and around the world. 220 Ghanaians who were living in Ukraine are expected to return home following evacuation efforts by the government. Shiraj directs former PPA boss Ejenim Boateng to refund 5.7 million Ghana cedis to the state. Ghanaians urged to assume leading roles in the energy sector to boost local content. And the EU has imposed a blanket flight ban on Russian planes. You can also watch us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube at NewTVGH. And now to the details. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayoku-Botchwey, has disclosed that at least 220 Ghanaians who are living in Ukraine are expected to return home following evacuation efforts by the government amidst the turmoil in that country. According to her, 24 of the stranded citizens are already at the airport in Romania, ready to board a Qatar Airways flight to Accra. Addressing the press on Sunday, the minister said the government is committed to assisting all those who are willing to return home to do so.
Ghana has also put in place the necessary package to facilitate transportation, accommodation, feeding, medical support, flights, etc., to ease any burden on our people. With all the collaborative efforts, I'm pleased to inform you that a good number, over 220 of our compatriots, have exited Ukraine and should be with us in Ghana soon, and we are earnestly facilitating the safe return of a lot more.
Madam Shirley Ayoku-Botchwey also denied claims that a train conveying some Ghanaians from Ukraine has been attacked by Russians. According to her, the claims are false and must be disregarded.
We wish to use this platform to debunk the unsubstantiated reports, such as alleging that a bus or a train conveying some Ghanaians to the eastern part of Ukraine was shot at. These are delicate times. Let us all endeavor to steer clear of sensationalism and unconfirmed reports. These only serve to heighten tensions at these times. We have parents, family, and friends of these students, of Ghanaians, who are stuck in a war situation. And the least we can do is not to play politics or to be sensational with news that is not confirmed. It's just not right. It is not right.
Members of the University Teachers Association of Ghana in 8 universities are expected to vote by close of day today to determine whether the suspension of a strike by the Association National Executive Committee will stand or not. The NEC last week suspended a strike after 6 weeks of protest demanding better conditions of service. So far, 5 universities have voted against the decision, whilst 2 have voted in favor of the decision.
The national president of UTAG, Professor Solomon Nunu, in an interview said 8 more universities are yet to vote on the suspension of the strike. They should be done by close of Monday. It's supposed to be held in 5 working days after the suspension of the strike. There are 15 campuses, and so 8 are expected to vote in favor of the NEC decision for it to stand. Quote, "If it turns out the other way around, however, we will convey an extraordinary NEC meeting to decide on a date to resume the industrial action," he said. He noted that the strike was suspended to allow for negotiation process to begin. He continued by saying, quote, "But we will go ahead and carry out whatever the member of UTAG decide, even if it means the resumption of the strike." Meanwhile, the National Executive Committee of UTAG has appealed to all UTAG members to return to the lecture halls as they push for improved conditions of the service. UTAG has been on strike since January 10th to force the government to restore the conditions of service agreed upon in 2012.
The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice has directed a former Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Ejenim Boateng, to refund 5.7 million Ghana cedis to the state. The amount is to be paid into the Consolidated Fund within 6 months, and the receipt evidence in the payment produced before the Commission, failure of which the Commission shall take necessary action to recover the money from Mr. Eje's known properties and assets.
Consequently, charge disqualified him from holding public office for not less than 10 years, to run concurrently with the earlier disqualification in the decision of the Commission in the case of the Office of the President versus CEO of PPA. Quote, having abused public office to illicitly enrich himself, Mr. Ejenim Boateng has demonstrated that he can no longer be entrusted with public office. Consequently, the Commission hereby disqualifies him for holding public office for a period not less than 10 years, Chirach said. Eje was also directed to declare his assets and liabilities within 3 months. Chirach disqualified the board chairman, Professor Douglas Boateng, and a member of the board, Dr. Emmanuel Yao Boache, from appointment to chair or be a member of any public board, council, or commission for 2 years and 3 years, respectively.
The Apiati Disaster Relief Committee has set March 11, 2022 for the mass burial of persons who lost their lives through the Bogoso Explosion in the Prestia Huni Valley municipality of the Western region. The explosion occurred on January 20, 2022 after a truck carrying explosive owned by Maxam Limited got involved in an accident resulting in the explosion.
13 persons lost their lives while many others sustained multiple degrees of injury. The municipal chief executive for Prestige Uni Valley said families who prefer a private burial will be allowed to do so. The Apiache disaster was one that destroyed a whole community, claimed lives, and left several others injured. The National Disaster Management Organization, with support from well-meaning Ghanaians, companies, and organizations, has been taking care of the people by providing them with relief items and temporary shelters since January 20th, 2022. Currently, the rebuilding of the community is ongoing, whilst the committee inaugurated to probe the disaster has presented its report to the government. A support fund has also been set up by the government to help the rebuilding efforts and also offer support to the people. The government has fined Maxam Company, the company responsible for transporting the explosives, $6 million. The president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, has directed that $5 million of the amount be used in the rebuilding of the community.
President Akufo-Addo on Friday, February 25, 2022, commissioned 4 new vessels acquired for use by the Ghana Navy at a ceremony at the Sekondi Takoradi Naval Base. The acquisition of these vessels, according to the president, is yet a further manifestation of the commitment of government to retool and equip the Ghana Navy to enable them perform their duties of protecting the territorial integrity of our nation.
Delivering a speech at the event, the president indicated that the vessels have been fittingly named after some of Ghana's famous rivers, with Ghana and West Africa currently confronted with twin threats posed by terrorism and violent extremism from the Sahel and by piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. President Akufo-Addo stated that his government is determined to do everything within its power to guarantee the nation's territorial integrity and ensure the safety of Ghanaians.
Even though this is the first time in my period as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces that such equipment has been procured for the Navy, I can assure you that it will not be the last. When I took office as President of the Republic in January 2017, I was taken aback by the state of our armed forces, especially with regards to their operational readiness. It was nothing short of abysmal. We have thus had to take deliberate steps to shore up the capability of the armed forces and that of the other security services. We've had to purchase a significant number of armored personnel carriers, buses, and vehicles for the Army, and refurbish the existing fleet of CASA aircraft and helicopters for the Air Force, and placed orders for new fighter jets for them. Today, it is the turn of the Navy. All of these have come at a considerable cost to the Ghanaian taxpayer and at the expense of other equally important sectors of the economy. all our efforts at transforming the Ghanaian economy and putting our nation onto the path of progress and prosperity will be rendered futile if we do not secure our borders and give the Ghanaian people and businesses the serenity of mind to go about their daily activities in an atmosphere of peace and security.
And on to some business. The Ghana cedi is now the worst performing currency on the African continent just 2 months into 2022. This is because it has depreciated by about 7.6% to the dollar from January 1st, 2022 to February 25, 2022. The local currency has therefore overtaken the Zimbabwean kwacha, which was the worst performing currency on the continent 2 weeks ago.
Both Ghana and Zambia have challenges in addressing their escalating debts as well as struggling with revenue mobilization and expenditure management. This situation is impacting negatively on the country's exchange rate, interest rate, and inflation. Additionally, the recent downgrade of the country's ability to borrow is also a major worry, as investors are still unsure about the outlook of the Ghanaian economy. This affirms some economists and analysts' assertions that all concerns regarding the electronic transaction levy must be addressed and passed immediately by Parliament. If not, the depreciating cedi will affect the budget of most corporate institutions as well as reduce the disposable income of consumers. But there could be some hope going forward as the World Bank Group has approved a 5-year country partnership framework for Ghana from this year till 2026. This will see the injection of $4.5 billion into the economy in the next 5 years.
Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh has reiterated calls for Ghanaians to assume leading roles in various subsectors under the country's energy sector. According to him, the practice of expatriates being awarded huge contracts due to lack of skills and technical know-how among Ghanaians must be addressed. To achieve this, he believes more people ought to be given the needed education and training in the various subsectors of the energy sector.
The minister was speaking at the launch of the Ghana Welding Bureau, set up to regulate and see to the development of the welding industry. Quote, "There is nothing we can do without pipe fitters and welders. Look at Ghana's gas that's supposed to take gas everywhere. If it's supposed to take gas everywhere, including our homes, just imagine the number of pipe fitters we need. If we have dry dock working, all these FPSOs can even be built in Ghana. That is taking commanding heights of your economy. People come from Malaysia or Philippines to lay pipes, take our money, and take their talent and skills back to earn fat salaries. But for Ghanaians to enjoy our oil fund, it is imperative that we in government do everything to have as many Ghanaians trained as possible for the benefit of Ghana. Ghana has over the years lost opportunities for indigenous welders to be employed to play key roles in the upstream petroleum industry, though there are thousands of qualified as well as artisanal welders in the country. To address this challenge, the Ghana Welding Bureau was set up to be responsible for the certification and registration of companies and individuals involved in the welding and allied operations. This will in turn pave the way for young Ghanaians to be employed in the oil and gas, mining, automotive, and other allied industries.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association is pleading with the government to hasten slowly with a complete reversal of the benchmark value discount. The appeal comes after the government's announcement of a new 30% discount on the benchmark values of all imported goods and a 10% discount for vehicles from the initial discount of 50% and 30% respectively.
Initially, a discount of 50% was applied on the benchmark values of selected goods imported, while a 30% discount was applied on vehicles. On Tuesday, February 22nd, the government concluded on a 30% benchmark discount for all goods and 10% for vehicles after months of agitations and weeks of consultations with stakeholders in the trading community. These proposed rates will take effect from March 1st, 2022. The reversal of the discount, however, is being done in phases, and this new development is the first of many which might lead to a complete reversal of the discount policy in the future. On the back of this, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, is asking the government to hasten slowly so that the Ghanaian industry gets into a stable position before complete reversal is implemented.
Energy experts are worried the rise in oil prices will impact negatively on consumers, though the country will benefit significantly from the windfall of the commodity price. Brent crude crossed $100 mark 24th February 2022, selling at $105 per barrel on the world market, far more than the $65 budgeted by the government in the 2022 budget. It has since fallen marginally, hovering around $100 per barrel.
The rising price of crude oil has been a result of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, two biggest producers of crude oil. Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security says government must intervene to cushion consumers against the shocks, calling for a revitalization of the Tema oil refinery. Quote, "We expect government to put in measures to stop the consistent rise in fuel prices on our local market. Of course, there are ways to deal with this." Continuing, he said, quote, "There are three factors that account for prices we see at the pumps. One will be the taxes, levies, and margins they slap on the price buildup. Two is the value of our local currency against the U.S. dollar, the major trading currency, and finally, the international prices."
We'll be right back with more news after this break. Welcome back. And on to some international news. The EU has imposed a blanket flight ban on Russian planes. The head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has announced. She said they are shutting down EU airspace for Russian-owned, Russian-registered or Russian-controlled aircraft. All such planes, including the private jets of oligarchs, will now be unable to land in, take off from or fly over any EU nation.
Russian planes have also been banned from UK airspace. Russia's biggest airline, Aeroflot, said it would cancel all flights to Europe destinations until further notice, a retaliatory move on Sunday. Ahead of the decision, European countries have been closing their airspace one by one. Germany said its ban would last 3 months. Russia's S7 Airlines said on Facebook it would cancel flights to many of its European destinations until at least 13th March. Russia has been responding with tit-for-tat restrictions on countries banning its flights. The Commission president said that the EU was also going to ban Russia's state-owned news outlets Sputnik and Russia Today, widely seen as a mouthpiece for the Kremlin. The restrictions on flights will require Russian airlines to take detours, resulting in longer flight times. Commercial airlines are also avoiding airspace around Ukraine, Moldova, and Belarus following Russia's invasion.
Cities across Ukraine remain on high alert on the fifth day of the country's fight against Russia's invasion. Ukraine's military said the Russian troops has made repeated attempts to storm the outskirts of the capital Kiev, but has failed to capture it.
Officials describe Sunday's fighting as difficult as Russian troops continued shelling from almost all directions. The major cities of Kharkiv and Chernihiv were also targeted overnight. They and Kyiv remain under Ukrainian forces' control, but Russia made some progress in the south, taking the port town of Bryansk. Fighting also continues in the strategic important port city in the south. Ukraine has denied a report that Russian troops had captured the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, southeast of Ukraine. Last week, Russian soldiers took control of the site of the former Chernobyl nuclear plant. The UK Ministry of Defense said its latest intelligence suggested that the bulk of Russia's forces remain more than 30 kilometers north of Kyiv, having been slowed by Ukrainian forces.
Belarus says that it has prepared a venue to host talks between Ukrainian and Russian delegations as Moscow invasion of its western neighbors enters a fifth day.
Ukraine has agreed to send diplomats to a location near the Ukrainian-Belarus border, despite reports that the country's dictator, Alexander Lukashenko, is poised to send troops to join the invasion. Quote, "The venue for talks between Russia and Ukraine in Belarus has been prepared. The arrival of delegations is expected," the Belarus foreign minister said on social media, releasing a picture of a long table with Russian and Ukraine flags. A spokesperson for the country's foreign ministry said, quote, "The talks will start as soon as all the delegations arrive at the meeting point. Ukraine has vowed not to give any ground at the meetings, and its president has said he doesn't expect the talks to yield any results."
And on to some sports stories. FIFA has told Russia to complete their upcoming games in neutral territory under the name of the Football Union of Russia without their flag and anthem following the invasion of Ukraine. Several nations have announced they will refuse to play Russia, including England and Wales, as well as Poland, the Czech Republic and Sweden.
World Cup 2022 playoffs would see Russia face Poland before facing either Czech Republic or Sweden if they win, and are scheduled to be played in March. Polish FA president said FIFA's decision was totally unacceptable, while the Swedish FA and the Czech Republic FA reiterated their stances that they would not play Russia. Quote, "We are not interested in participating in this game of appearances. Our stance remains intact. Polish national team will not play with Russia, no matter what the name of the team is," he said. "Our opinion is not different today, and the situation has not changed in Ukraine just because we have received the message from FIFA. So we have no other opinion today. We also want to talk to Poland and Czech Republic so that we can give back to FIFA what we think. But we had expected a sharper stance from FIFA. We would have done so."
Tyson Fury and Dillian White will fight at Wembley Stadium on April 23 for the WBC Heavyweight Championship. The All-British Coalition has been confirmed for the National Stadium, where Anthony Joshua previously staged his classic win over Vladimir Klitschko.
Fury and White both finally signed their contract to fight earlier this week after protracted negotiations, meaning the fascinating heavyweight title clash is on. It will be White's first world title opportunity after a long and frustrating wait, while it will be Fury's UK homecoming after emerging unbeaten through a riveting trilogy against Deontay Wilder. The winner of Fury and White will be well positioned for an undisputed title fight with Joshua and Alexander Usyk, who are still expected to have a rematch for the IBF, WBA, and WO belts.
And on to entertainment, Afrobeat star Peter Okoye is being sued by the ECOWAS Youth Council and West African Youth Support Development Forum over his failure to turn up to a program he was billed to perform at. The group says it suffered losses exceeding 33 million naira and is seeking damages of not less than $500,000 naira.
Mr. P reportedly received 2.8 million naira, that's 70% of the down payment of 4 million, to perform at the inauguration of the West African Champions League in Asaba, Delta State. He didn't show up. Quote, "On June 16, 2019, after Mr. P collected the money and did a video that he will be coming live, he refused to show up at the event, which later crashed the dream of the organization to give a better opportunity to youths," the group managing director said during an interview. Mr. P killed the show by not turning up for the event. Many people wanted to see him perform live. "We have sued him for over 500 million naira. The organizations have written to him severally to refund the money, but he refused. That's why we are in court today, 23rd February 2022, but the court has adjourned the case to 13th April 2022.
And that's it for NEWSBOARD. Let's take a look again at our headlines. 220 Ghanaians who were living in Ukraine are expected to return home following evacuation efforts by the government. Shirach directs former PPA boss Ejenim Boateng to refund 5.7 million Ghana cedis to the state. Ghanaians urged to assume leading roles in the energy sector to boost local content. And the EU has imposed a blanket flight ban on Russian planes. Thanks for watching. My name is Patricia Roxanne Hammond. We came to you live from our studios at Kwabenya Point 1. Good evening.